In this video, I want to talk about how to make wall pass-throughs with regards to ventilation. So, what we have here is two rooms adjacent to each other. Yeah, okay, here we have it. These are the two rooms, like small meeting rooms, with the ventilation in the ceiling here. And it goes out here into the corridor, like so. And then into the next room over here. So this is a pretty good way of solving it, because if you go through the corridor, you have a lower sound requirement if it looks like this, because here's a door, and when you have a door to the outside here, the sound requirement in this case could be a bit lower, like 35 or 40 dBs. Here you can see it also, how it's all connected together. Whereas if you were to make a wall pass through and you would go straight in to the next room this way through the wall, then you have a higher sound requirement, and in this case it could be 44 dB. So let's see why that could be a problem. First, let's grab the painting tool. Here we have that one, and draw freely. So let's say that we want to make instead a connection here. Let's see if I can draw this in 3D. Oops, I just hit something. I hit something in the real world. This is actually much harder than it looks. Okay, let's see if I can orient myself. I have to move a bit back into the room. And we start again. Undo, get rid of it. There we have it. And let's place ourselves here. Well, this is a good view. Now you can see both rooms and the ducts in between them. So it's a bit scary that you don't know if you're gonna hit something. Here's my pass through, and let's paint it like this. Like so, and we do something similar over here. There, I hope you can see it. Well, you get the principle here. Now, if you would to do this, there are several transmission paths which can cause problems. Well, here's one of them, because when you have to create a hole in the wall here, and also on this side. And if there's leakage here, you could have sound transmission problems, that sound will pass through this hole. And you could solve that by making sure that this is really airproof, that it's really tight. But then there are still other transmission paths that you need to consider. And another one is channel transmission. I mean, when people are inside this room talking, and then their speech, the sound of the speech will enter the channel, and once it's inside the channel, it's got nowhere else to go and just to keep going, and then it will find the exit here. So this will be you always have to consider this transmission path inside the channel. This is the same principle like you know in the old movies when they call from the bridge down to the engine room in the big ship. They full speed ahead, then this is the same principle. And you have to do something about that. So what do? Let's get rid of that one. What we can do there is to add a silencer. So let's say we put a silencer here on our channel. We draw it like this. Sound silencer. Great! Now we have perhaps eliminated this path, because now it has to pass through the silencer, and it will be attenuated here, hopefully enough so that there is not enough to cause a problem on the other side. But even though we are not there yet, but then you have to also remember that there's something called break-in and break-out transmission, because even though we put silencer, for the sake of it, we put another one here. We are paranoid. We have silencers on both sides now of this one. But you see here we have exposed ventilation duct. So even though this ceiling is airtight, we have silencer on both sides on the openings, but this surface remains exposed. So what can happen is so-called break-in and break-out transmission. So when people talk, sound can enter through the walls of the channel and get in here, and then it starts to pass through and then it excites the metal or what it is in the material on this side, and it starts to emit sound on this side, and same goes here. And then you get this break-in and break-out transmission problem. And this one you also have to consider. And if the channels increase in diameter, this becomes more of an issue. So don't forget about the break-in and break-out. So what do we do about that then? How can we get rid of that one? Well, let's do a series of undos here. And get rid of the other silencer as well. What you should do, if you want to do it as good as possible, is that you should place your silencers here, flush to the wall. And if you do it on both sides, you can get a really good insulation. If you have very high requirements, this might be what you have to do. Both sides. It could be enough on one side, but you have to check it out case by case, because everything needs it. All the parameters, they affect each other. So, but in this case, if you have break-in and break-out transmission now, it's going to take place here. And boom, it's going to hit the silencer. And great, you got it. This is a very good way. And if you want to make this even better, in this case we have some kind of suspended ceiling, it looks like here, a thin one. But let's say that this one would be a gypsum ceiling as well. Then that would also completely kill the break-in, break-out transmission paths. But in this case, it might just be a thin, suspended, let's say 15 or 20 millimeters suspended, absorptive ceiling. You know, the regular acoustic ceilings that you might find. It could also be if you have visible ventilations. If you would to get rid of the ceiling altogether, then this might become even more sensitive. So, as you can see, there are lots and lots of parameters that affect each other here, but I really like drawing in virtual reality. That's so nice. Here's the best solution I can think of in this case. But that doesn't mean that this is always necessary. It all depends on what kind of rooms do we have. Is it like high secret rooms, or is it just not sensitive at all? So, yeah, that's a way to illustrate the principles of... Oh, there's the camera! The principles of how to do good sound insulation with pass-throughs and ventilation. See you later.